Hey, y'all, welcome to Musical Miles Podcast, where live music and great stories take center stage. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Teton Guitars. Whether you're picking tunes around a campfire or taking the stage at your favorite honky-tonk, Teton Guitars delivers rich, soulful sound built for the journey. Learn more at tetonguitars.com. Now let's dive into some music and memories.
Welcome to Musical Miles Podcast. I'm your host, Byron Duff, and I'm here with Mr. Corey Grubb.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming out.
We're here at Corey's, where I grew up, on his dad's back porch here in Mountain Home, Idaho.
Yes, sir.
And we can see Bennett Mountain, right?
Yep.
Named after Pinto Bennett's relatives.
Yeah, Richard Bennett. I think it was his grandpa or great-grandpa.
That's cool.
Can't be 100% sure. But...
Well, this is Pinto Bennett country. In fact, funny story, Corey's dad just shared with us. He graduated high school with Pinto Bennett. Lived in Pinto's basement for part of his senior year.
Yeah, they got into a lot of trouble together.
I said, well, I told you, what's your dad's first name?
Sterling.
Sterling. I told Sterling, I said, dude, you look good because Pinto's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And if you're the same age as Pinto, he's 77. Is that what he told me?
77.
He looks great for 77. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lucky he'll be around for a lot longer.
Yeah. So. Well, good on you. Hang on to him and enjoy him while you got him. So, hey, listen, let's tell a little backstory here. I got to think back because it was like we started the podcast in July of last year, did our first interviews, really did 2 interviews, and then we went to the BBR.
Yeah.
And we got to interview a bunch of guys there. And at some point, you reached out to me.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when exactly it was, but we talked, and I said, yeah, I'd love to interview you, have you on the podcast. But we've never had the chance till now.
Yeah.
We did have a couple of chances, but I had to cuss you because you let me know like an hour before you were in Southeast Idaho. You're playing in Lava, right?
Yeah, it was just like a last minute thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Byron, and it's like, I'm great at that last minute stuff.
That's usually the way my life goes. Make sure audio goes on. Yep. Yeah, that's usually how things go for us. But we are just been so crazy busy. But you just asked me if we had any plans to go to the hotel or the Motel Cowboy reunion coming up. And do you remember the what are the dates?
I think it's May 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
It's always Mother's Day weekend every year.
Yeah, so. Like next weekend, right?
Yeah,
next weekend. Yep. Yeah, we'll have to look at that. There's just so many things going on. Our world has just been crazy. This podcast deal has blown up. Not in the way that, in a great way. We've been busy. I think you're 112 or 113th interview we've done.
Getting up there.
And so it's been just nuts. We have a lot of stuff in the can that we won't get released for a little bit. But we've sped up our releases. We're releasing 3 times a week now.
Nice.
So we got a lot of content and a lot of great content. And we're really excited and finally got the chance to sit down with Corey.
Yeah.
So. Well, tell me your story a little bit because something you shared was that your dad never ever told you that he even knew Pinto Bennett until you were older.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably might have mentioned it at some point, but it just didn't click in my head. But yeah, so I started playing right around 14 or 15, I think. I remember it was like a couple weeks before Christmas, and I told my dad, hey, I think I want a guitar for Christmas. And so he's like, all right, well, I gotta, go do some shopping. And he came home that night with just a Yamaha acoustic from a pawn shop. And I'm pretty sure I played until my fingers were bleeding that night. But yeah, so I had been playing music already probably about 7 years. I did my first ever show at Cal's, this little dive bar here in Mountain Home.
Okay.
And that's where I met Pops.
Okay.
Lyle Evans.
Lyle Evans, yep.
My great friend and mentor and biggest pain in my ass in a great way.
Yeah.
He keeps me straight. But
well, he plays with Buddy DeVore some.
Yep.
And we got to see Buddy play. Actually, the first time I ever saw Buddy play was at the BBR.
Yeah.
And
him that cover of Purple Rain.
Oh my God, I love that cover.
I saw that video and went, whoa.
And you knew that I covered her, that I put it on the Facebook page and on when I did his interview. I just love that. And I got to watch Pops, and I'm just like, dude, that guy he's a rock star.
Oh, yeah, he's been there and done it.
Yeah, played with Pinto.
Yeah.
For many years.
Yeah. Garth Brooks, Chris Ledoux.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember my dad telling me, I got this friend that I went to high school with. He plays music. He's going to come down and listen to you. I was like, okay. So I did my first ever show. I think I knew 20 songs at that point.
Right.
I was shaking like a leaf. And he came up to me after the show and said, "Hey, that was great. You're a little rough around the edges, a little green. Let me show you a thing or two." And my first thought was like, "Who the hell is this guy?
Who's this old codger?"
And I'd been playing with him for about a year before I knew really anything about him. He's
Really?
just that humble, And it was about that time when I had been playing with Pops for about a year that my dad finally goes, I had heard about Pinto and kind of started digging into his music, and my dad was like, "Oh, by the way, I went to high school with him, and we used to be really good friends."
So no, clear something up with me.
Mm-hmm.
Was this Pinto that came and watched you, or
Oh, no,
Pops?
It was Pops.
Pops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I can only imagine, Pops and some of the other guys. Well, I mean, there's just a ton of them around here.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of where that Idaho music history starts.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Muzzy's dad, was early musician, Jackpot, Nevada,
Yeah.
Twin Falls area, and then obviously Pinto here, and of course the connection with the Bronze, and
Yeah.
Pinto is tight as ever.
Yeah.
So,
And it was funny too, man, because like growing up playing music here, I didn't think there was anything, And there was probably a time in my mind where I naively thought, like, man, am I the only person in Mountain Home that's ever picked up a guitar, And then, grow up and start playing shows and realize,
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that have come from here.
Well,
the county's kind of rich in music history. So.
Pinto had a huge following in England and
Oh, yeah.
Ireland and in the UK. I mean, he had a huge following. Let me ask you back up a little bit to that first guitar, the Yamaha. You still got it?
I have a piece of it.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I don't even remember. It got smashed somehow.
Uh-oh.
I think I was learning and it got bad and maybe smashed it or something. But I still have the back somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's somewhere.
Well, I got to tell you, my first guitar was an FG75 Yamaha.
Oh, nice.
And I still have it. My
Nice.
mom bought it for me. The problem was I didn't stick with it because I couldn't keep the damn thing in tune.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't a great. I mean, it's not a great quality guitar. It's okay, but it's just. I'm about half tone deaf.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't keep the damn thing in tune, why play it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you just sound like you're killing cats, right?
Yeah.
So I gave it up 50 years ago, and then about a year and a half ago, I started playing again. So I play every day.
Nice.
I'm getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it's a long, slow process,
Oh, yeah.
especially for an old guy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, I teach guitar.
Right. I know you do. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's one thing I tell my students all the time. I'm like, you're not going to get good overnight.
Oh, no.
It takes practice.
And literally,
It's frustrating.
I
Most frustrating
committed. Most people, I have people tell me all the time, "Oh, I've thought about playing," and most of them are younger than me, and I'm like, you have no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the apps that there are today, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm 100% self-taught. I have had 2 lessons in the last month, right? And the only thing the lessons did for me was frustrate me more because they're like, okay, your hand placement could be better. I have a tendency to kind of roll my wrist and kind of, and he goes, anyway. So I've been working on those things.
Yeah.
It's been 2 or 3 weeks since I had my last lesson because I'm still working on stuff, and I was gone. I was in Nashville for a week.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. But anyway, but I love it. But the commitment is play every day.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick it up, strum it. Don't put it in the damn case. If you put it in the case,
It's
out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I have 4 hanging on my wall in my office. So,
Oh, yeah. And,
Yeah.
This might be a slight exaggeration, but I always tell people that up until I was probably 21, I don't think there was a day that went by that I didn't play for at least an hour to 3 hours.
Sure.
I'm sure that's probably an exaggeration. I'm sure there was probably some
I tell
days,
everybody I play an hour a day,
Yeah.
and sometimes 2, and it's probably more like 15 minutes to 45 minutes. But I play every day, and if I'm traveling now, because we're doing the podcast, I have a guitar with me all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when I was still working for a living, I would and I traveled a lot for work. I would go to a music store and play their guitars. I'd say,
Yeah,
hey, can I play your guitar?
absolutely.
And they're more than happy to have you come play them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
So-
I just got to say, too, this thing's awesome.
Well, yeah, and we talked a little bit. That's the Teton. It's a willow, sides and
Yeah.
back, and the front is spruce, and it weighs nothing.
Super light.
And so I traveled with it. I carried it on the airplane. I was a little concerned about him. I didn't check it, right?
Yeah.
So, but a girl that I interviewed not too long ago, last fall in Livingston, Montana, Erica Sunshine Lee, sweet girl. she just got back from Europe, from Italy, and they made her check her guitar, and they broke it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it just breaks my heart.
All the time. That's why if I'm flying, I won't take my Michael Murray guitar.
Sure.
I take the Guild.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it was $500.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, it's got to be a little nerve wracking. I know. And I talked to a lot of guys that I've interviewed that carry expensive guitars, and they're like, if I got to fly on an airline that's going to make me check it, I just usually won't fly those airlines.
Yeah.
I guess Southwest is really good about it. Delta was good. I carried it on, and they put it in the coat closet.
Delta's great.
And then I put mine in the overhead on the way back from Nashville. I put it in the overhead, but they put it in the coat closet on the way out.
Yeah.
They're really good, but always just a little concerning.
Yeah. For any musicians out there wondering, if you don't know, Delta and United are the two that are like really accommodating with guitars.
Okay. Yeah.
100%.
Well, but also something we learned in Nashville is that Nashville is the worst for flying out of Nashville to get through security.
Oh, really?
So just know this, when you go to Nashville, going in's no big deal, right?
Yeah.
But they have all this modern equipment and didn't put in equipment to accommodate a guitar in a case.
Interesting.
So they make you take everything out of the case, literally.
Oh, that's lovely.
So capos and picks, anything. So I emptied my soft bag before we ever got, because I had seen a guy had posted on his social media while I was in Nashville, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a pain in the ass getting out. And it was, but we survived it. But yeah, not a good thing.
Oh no, I bet not.
But well, let's talk a little bit more about your musical history. So you started at 14, played every day till you were about 21,
give or take. Yeah.
And then and started doing some gigging about 20.
Yeah, well, I think I was 21 or 22.
Okay.
Actually, I was 22.
Okay.
And I got a message from Cal saying, "Hey, your dad tells me you play music. Think about a gig here." I think it was 2 years before I finally reached back out to him.
Really?
And finally, nutted up and booked a gig. So.
Well, people don't understand how intimidating. Listen, I do a podcast. I can talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I can stand in front of 1,000 people and talk. Not a big deal. Put that guitar in my hand in front of a stranger, or even for a long time, my wife. I would have to go in my office, shut the door, and play, and that's intimidating. And I finally started posting on social media. That was my goal this year, was every week post a new. So I called it New Tune Tuesday.
Yeah,
and I would pick out a song and kind of work on it for the week, and then play my version of it, half-assed, and I got a little bit better every week. But then I finally decided to take the lessons. And I haven't posted in a while, and so, but everybody always wanted to, well, are you going to sing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, just playing this sucker in front of you, in front of that camera, is all I can bring myself to do, and post it. That's really intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't get intimidated by much, but that's one thing that intimidates me.
See, and we're exact opposites too. Like, I can get up on stage and play for 1,000 people, but if you ask me to get up and like give a seminar or talk, it's...
You know what's funny, and I've learned this through interviewing artists, but you're all a little bit introverted, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. So
the performing is an extroverted action, but to have a one-on-one conversation with someone is a little tough.
Oh yeah.
Even I got the chance to meet Michael Martin Murphy, and
nice.
Even Murph's a little, and he agreed to an interview, and we just didn't have time. It was at the Cowboy Poetry Dale and Elko this year.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And cool guy, but I know someone that knows him really well, and she told me, she said, he can do that. 10,000 people not bothering him a bit, but to be in a small group of people, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
So we met him at the what's the Star at the Basque restaurant there at Elko. Anyway, he was in there with Bren Hill and Andy Hedges and somebody else. Anyway, and I knew I had interviews set up with those guys, so I went up and was talking to them. Anyway, but I could tell he was a little uncomfortable at first. So
there's something about like if I go on stage with a guitar, I'm able to like, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I can kind of like separate myself from the audience. It's like this is a shield.
Well, and it's so I offer to let people hold it all the time, because we're trying to promote the guitar, right? The brand. It lets people see it, but it's also a bit of a safety security blanket in sorts. Adrian Brannon. I don't know if you know Adrian. She's kind of cut her teeth at the Cowboy Poetry Deal really young.
Yeah.
Performed there with Dave Stamey and Ian Tyson.
Cool.
And back in the day when I first met her, and but I interviewed her in Arizona this winter, and same deal. She held it. She goes, "Okay, this is my safety blanket, my security blanket. I'll hold this through 100%. The interview." So anyway, yeah,
it's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your songwriting, because we talked. You mentioned I asked you if you needed a capo because you're going to play me a song here in a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got this. What is it? Drop D? Is that what you called it? Capo?
Yeah, that's what it's called. But really, when you use it, you're in drop E.
Okay.
And what's cool and interesting about this is, and I'm sure a lot of musicians understand this, when you tune to drop D, you can play that full sounding, just beautiful D chord, but you can't play a full G chord.
Right.
And so when you use a capo upside down or only capo the bottom 5 on the 2nd fret, you can still play that full D.
Right.
But now it's an E.
Okay.
But you can still play a full G.
Right.
Which is like, I learned that from Steve Earle.
Which is a great guy to learn from.
Did
you see that he was just inducted into the Grand Ole Opry? He is now a full member of the Grand Ole Opry.
About time.
And who invited him? Vince Gill.
Yeah.
And I was just at the Opry last week and got to see Vince Gill with Ashley McBride and John Party.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
Oh, it was so cool.
I would love to see Vince Gill once,
Vince Gill, I've been a fan of Vince Gill since the Pure Prairie League days.
Oh, yeah.
He's just such a talented, and I've never got to meet him, but every interview I've ever seen with him, he just always seems so humble.
Oh, yeah.
And what a guitar collection. Oh my gosh, that guy.
I think he's got like one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple videos.
And he has some of those he has like 5 of the exact same guitar.
Yeah.
Or more, because he just loves them.
That's literally the epitome of an avid collector,
Yeah, that you have 5 of the same guitar.
Yeah, I think I've probably sold more guitars than I've ever owned, which some of them I regret.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was a gun guy for a long, long time. Grew up around guns and hunted, and was actually a shooting instructor in Hawaii.
Oh, cool.
About 10, 12 years ago. And love guns.
Yeah.
And have lots of guns. But now my passion has turned from guns to guitars.
Yep.
And so I don't know that you can ever have too many guitars. I never felt like you'd have too many guns.
No.
Or guitars.
Yeah, no. It's the 2 things you can never have enough of, I think.
Yeah.
But I have too many hobbies. My wife always tells me, she's like, you have so many hobbies and not one of them is cheap.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Add being a podcaster to all that, too, right? Because that pays real well.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. Let's bump this up.
Pony up, fella.
Yeah. No, this has been a lot of fun, and it's cool because we get to meet the artists, right?
Yeah,
we get
absolutely.
we get to go to a lot of these events, a lot of these songwriter festivals and concerts and music festivals as media, which is nice. We don't have to buy passes for all of them anymore. We still buy some, but we're just such lovers of music, right? Live music there's no replacing live music.
Oh no.
Even if you turn on the radio, it's just not the same.
No, live music just takes you to a different place.
Right, right. So let's talk a little bit about your songwriting process, because we talked about this drop D capo, which makes everything into an E.
Yeah.
And you write everything in that, and now your bandmates are going, what the hell?
Yeah, they love it, because they say all my songs are in this key, so they have trouble remembering which is which.
Right.
But it's just a good sounding key,
Yeah. Well, so how many songs do you think you got in your repertoire? Well, how many have you written?
Written? Got hundreds.
Really?
I think maybe 20 of them have been, that I felt were good enough to play.
Sure.
But and then I'll go and play some for my bandmates, and they're like, "No, that's good. We need to work that out."
Right.
But that's just how it is. You're
right.
your own worst critic. And I have a really bad habit of, and I think everybody goes through this, but I'll write a line and then I'm like, does that make any sense at all? Or could be better.
How many songs though have you listened to? You're like, that makes no sense at all, but it's a great song.
Oh yeah,
lyrically it just fits.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a songwriter the other day, and they said Paul Simon did this, and the boss Springsteen.
Yeah.
That they write like in series. It's like a history. It's like it starts out in their early days, and then as they get older, and it's a progressive.
Yeah.
and the story evolves or changes, or it may not even involve the same character, right?
Yeah,
It changes every
absolutely.
verse. So, and sometimes you listen to that going, what the hell are they talking
Yeah.
about? But, you know, one of my favorite songs is Lyle Lovett's This Old Porch.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
a great
That's
song.
a great song, but really, does it make a lot of sense?
Not a whole lot.
No, about that old Hereford bull
Yeah.
out there underneath the mesquite tree and
Yeah.
agua dulce, and then next thing we're talking about is a plate of greasy, cheesy enchiladas, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Where the hell does that, how does that tie together, Lyle?
Yep.
But I love Lyle, and I love his style, and I love his music, and I've
Yeah.
actually know Lyle. I've known him for 20-some years and got to hang out with him a
nice.
couple of times, and I've yet to get him to sit down on the podcast with me, but
Oh, it'll happen.
it's coming someday.
Yeah,
so
it's coming.
But yeah, it's just songwriting is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, how does that process work for you?
You know, I don't really know that I have like a set in stone process. You know, I have songs that I've been writing for 2-3 years, and I have songs that take me 10 minutes to a day.
Right.
Sometimes it's a guitar riff, sometimes it's a melody. But I kind of have this theory, you know, songwriting is such a mystical, mysterious thing. You know, and I have this theory that every song that's ever been written or ever will be written, it already exists. It's somewhere out
In
there.
the ether somewhere.
It's my job to find them.
Sure.
You know, which is kind of I heard that somewhere, and I was like, you know, that kind of made a lot of sense. And so that's kind of the standpoint I take, is it's just, you know, they already exist. I just got to find it.
I often wonder about that, because you think about, man, they have to have already written that song.
Oh yeah.
And of course, you know who Todd Snyder is.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So Todd Snyder tells a story about how one day his manager calls him. He goes, "Hey, we got a problem." He goes, "What's the deal?" He goes, "Well, you know your song Beer
Run story, yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah, somebody else wrote that too." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he goes, so he goes, "Well, I don't want to have to put pants on and go to town." I just love Todd's storytelling capabilities, right? He's just so interesting. And
I think I said, I don't have to go into town.
yeah,
for this,
do I have to
man?
go to town? and so then, but funny story, that is Kent Blasey wrote that song, or that's who the issue is with. And I just saw Kent play the other night at the listening room, and I kept thinking all night long about Todd Snyder and about because he tells the story about he wrote a song called "If Tomorrow Never Comes."
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's
and that's the song that Kent wrote, right? So anyway, and then he talks about meeting him. He goes, "Oh yeah, I know you. I had some trouble with you."
you stole my song, man. So he's like, I'm gonna steal your song.
Yeah, that's such a funny story.
But I think that thought goes through my mind every time I put pen to paper. I'm like, somebody's already thought of that.
Or do you think sometimes I would question myself, did I hear that somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
And makes me
the time.
Where did that come from? And so I'm not a songwriter. I'm a wannabe guitar player, and I want to be thinking, I think, man, that'd be a great title for a song.
Yeah.
Or that'd be a great story for a song. And so I've told multiple guys this. In fact, Heath Clark, you know Heath.
Oh, yeah.
Heath is my very first interview on the podcast.
I think I knew that.
Yeah, because his dad and grandpa and uncle played at our wedding 43
cool.
years ago in Arizona.
I love Heath. He's a good guy.
He's such a good, and he was in Nashville with us last week or 2 weeks ago.
cool.
Anyway, not with us, but we were there at the same time and hung out a little bit. But he's such a great guy. But he cut 4 of Kent Blasey's songs on his album.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that release to happen.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's going to be a good record. And Gary
Yeah.
Tackett producing, I mean.
And I got
Can't
to
go wrong
interview
with that.
Gary not too long ago. About a month ago, we drove over and saw Gary. Anyway, just there's so many great musicians out there and so many talented singer-songwriters, and we've met and interviewed so many of them.
Oh, yeah.
That whole process really intrigues me. Have you co-written much, or is okay?
So that was something that I went through, you know, like a couple year stage where I had nothing. You know, I had all these ideas, and I had songs that were like, you know, a verse and a chorus, and I just couldn't bring them home. And so I started doing co-writes. co-written a couple of tunes, working on a couple of tunes with Lyle Evans right now.
Okay.
I've co-written like 5 or 6 songs with Andy Crosby. One of them made it on his last record.
That's Jeff's brother.
Yeah.
I've never met Andy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I've never met Andy, but I've been around Jeff a lot and interviewed Jeff on the podcast. So
yeah, so him and I co-wrote a song together. I also, quite a few songs, and one of them made it on his debut record. And then I co-wrote a song recently with my buddy Jason Wickens from Texas.
Okay, don't know Jason.
And then I started kind of taking the standpoint of like, 2-3 minds are better than one.
Well, it's interesting because...
And then you have critique.
Yeah. Well, and somebody goes, or there's that guy that goes, that makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah.
But then again, Lyle Lovett and Robert Earl Keen wrote the Front Porch song together.
Yeah.
And Robert's version is a little bit different. He throws a little extra in there. And
Robert Earl Keen
does. As he does, and which I love Robert Earl as well. Seen him several times. Got to see him at the BBR 1 year, and then I got to see him at him and Lyle opened for George Strait in Vegas, and I got to see him there. Anyway, and then I got to see them together in Idaho Falls.
Nice.
So that was a really cool, because I love the songwriter version of a show. Tell the story.
Yeah.
We're sitting on our front porch in College Station, Texas. They were A&M students, and they, amongst the beer cans, and they wrote those songs.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but so and then to see how that happens in Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Very different, because they literally go to work every day. That's their job.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of them are fantastic songwriters.
Right.
Because I'm the songwriter that I'm like, an idea comes and I sit down and I kind of take the standpoint where if I struggle with it, like if I get really stuck for more than like 20 or 30 minutes, I have to put it down.
Sure.
Because then I start forcing it, and then it's going to sound generic. I'm going to start overthinking it. And
well, what's crazy too, as a once again a budding guitar player, is that old adage, 3 chords and the truth.
Yeah.
The same 3 chords are in 90% of the songs out there. C, G, D, E, A minor. E occasionally. Throw a D minor in there.
Yep.
I mean, it's just and an F, and that's the one I always struggle with. But I've gotten to where I could play the cheater F, so I can get by.
Well, and I say that all the time. I'm like, at this point, it's 2025. There's only 12 notes, and there's only so many words in the dictionary. It's all pretty much been done. At this point, we're just putting our own spin on it.
Sure.
And we're kind of stealing little bits from everybody.
It's voice inflection, right?
Absolutely.
And it's Well, and then you get I don't know, Texas. The Texas music scene is very intriguing to me because it's very regional, right?
Oh yeah.
You got a West Texas deal. You got that Austin scene, New Braunfels. You got Fort Worth. You got East Texas. They all kind of, and it's funny because there's so many artists down there. I've got to interview some artists that are, have had number ones on Texas radio.
Yeah.
And them other guys don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
Right. Because they don't really listen to Texas radio that much, or they pick and choose what they listen to. And so, and I don't listen to a lot of country radio, if you will, because I kind of got lost on, modern country kind of lost me a few years back.
Yeah.
And
more than a few years for me.
But that being said, in all fairness, there are some great modern country singers.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Zach Top brings back the old country, right?
Yeah.
Coulter Todd.
Coulter
Wall.
Yeah.
Coulter Todd's a team roper.
Yeah.
from Arizona. Coulter Wall, Sturgill Simpson.
Oh yeah.
Those guys have such a unique sound, and they're really more of that old traditional country, right?
Absolutely.
And of course, some country radio stations still play Merle and Johnny and Waylon, and Christofferson, you know, and a lot of people even in those days probably lost. Christofferson didn't really match up with them.
Oh no,
at the time.
Yeah.
But now some of the greatest music ever written, right?
100%.
So,
well, and like going back to the songwriting, the way I got started in songwriting, so I grew up on Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones. My dad's like a huge Bob Dylan fan.
Okay.
My first show ever was the Rolling Stones, actually, which was really cool. I think I was 14. I think I had just started playing. But what I used to do is I used to write like an extra verse to a Bob Dylan song or a Hank Williams song.
Sure.
And after I had enough, I'd put them together. And I felt guilty about that for a long time. And then I saw an interview somewhere where Pete Seeger described that very process as the folk process. Because all these old traditional songs, nobody had radios back then. They would go to a barn dance or
right. And they'd hear somebody play,
yeah,
right?
And they'd take it home and they'd figure it out the best they could. And that's why there's so many different versions.
I just interviewed an artist, a songwriter, Matt Warren, and Matt explained that process. That's how he learned. He had these old records, right? And he would play them, and then he said, I would insert my verses over the top. He said I'd change it up a little bit. But said those basic chords, which is once again, C, G, D, E.
Yep. 3 chords in the truth.
3 chords in the truth, and anyway, and that's always going to be the same. Right?
Oh yeah.
I because once again somebody who's wanting to learn, I'll hear a song and go, I wonder if I can play that, and then I'll look it up on Ultimate Guitar and go, hell yeah, it's these chords. It's just a chord progression in the series and the strum pattern and anyway. So and the words.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why Kent Blasey and Todd Snyder had a mash, right?
Yep.
Well,
and I bet that happens a lot more in Nashville than we think.
Well, Ed Sheeran. Did you ever hear that story? So Ed Sheeran got sued over a song, and I'm trying to remember who it was, but the heirs of some famous song. The singer-songwriter was dead, but Ed Sheeran had a song that they said, he stole the sound, the tone. And he goes, no, he literally went to court and he goes, name me a song. He said, I'm playing you that song with these 4 chords.
Yeah.
C, G, D, E, C, G, D, E. This is how it works.
Yeah,
and they go,
every song with those chords.
And he literally won the lawsuit over it because he's not lying.
Yeah,
that's the case.
I would have been shocked if he lost. It's like,
well, but a lot of people, even at times, my mother-in-law was a songwriter in Arizona.
Oh, really?
And years and years ago. She's been gone for 25 years, but my mother-in-law would say, well, that sounds a lot like this song. Mm-hmm. But then she couldn't read music. She played by ear.
Yeah.
So she could literally play anything. But that being said, there's a lot of songs. You'll hear it. It'll start, right? And then you go, oh, well, that's a riff from this song. But is it?
Yeah. Well, and I had kind of a similar situation happen. I started a song, and I sent it to Andy Crosby and was like, hey, man, I got this idea. What do you think about it? You want to help me write it? And he goes, that sounds exactly like my friend Jonathan Tyler's song, and then sent me the song, and I listened to it, and it's the same song. Melody, everything. And I was like, well, shit, I got to stop writing that. He's like, no. He's like, finish it. And he's like, arrange it to where it doesn't sound the same. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So,
I mean, there's very little, there's those little embellishments that you can put onto the chord, right? Whether it's a pull off or a hammer on or pull off or a step down, a series, whatever, however you want to play it. But those step downs, those pull offs, those hammer-ons, they've all been done.
Oh yeah.
But have they been done in that on that particular song?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting as I listen to more and pay attention better.
Yeah.
I notice those things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll notice, you find a song, you can find 20, 30 songs that have similar arrangement or similar chord structure, similar melody. But at the end of the day, it's all about the arrangement.
Well, and it's all about the voice who sings it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I listened to, I got to interview a bunch of songwriters in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and it was cool because they share a story about a song, Hemingway's Whiskey. You know the song, right?
Absolutely.
Well, you know who wrote it?
Who?
A guy named
wasn't Guy?
Joe Leathers started it, and I apologize for not knowing the other. Joe started it,
okay,
and he had the idea, and this is how it happened, right? But I'll share the story because it's such an interesting story to me. He's in Key West, Florida, at the Hemingway House, and he was there for a songwriters retreat or a songwriter festival, and he goes to Hemingway because he loved Hemingway, and of course now I got to ask you this: do you know where Hemingway's buried?
Yeah, Ketchum, Idaho.
There you go, right over the hill.
Yep, right over there.
So interesting story. I've been to the Hemingway house. I love the Hemingway story.
Yeah.
I've read some of his works. He's very interesting guy, and try and read his works and grasp it. He has a very interesting. My son, my youngest one, loves Hemingway. But anyway, he said, so he was at the Hemingway house, and he comes out. He got done with the tour, and he sits down on a bench in front of the house. I've been there. I'm not sure I've sat on the bench, but I've been there, right? And I can see this all unfolding. But he says he sits down on a bench, and there's an old man sitting out there on the curb.
Yeah.
And he's got a little basket full of number 2 pencils and a spiral notebook. And he says he's sitting there, and he looks over his shoulder at Joe, and he goes, "How you doing, bud?" And he goes, "Good." He goes, how you doing?" He goes, "Great." He said, "Just working on the next great American novel." And he goes, "Really? How's it coming?" And he goes, "Really good." He said, "I got some main characters. I got some side characters. I got kind of a storyline." He said, I'm working on it. It's kind of coming together." He goes, "Good." He said, "How long have you been working on it?" He goes, "Well, I've been here since 1978. And then he reaches into his bag and he pulls out a whiskey, a bottle of whiskey or a flask. And he goes, "You want some whiskey?" And he goes, "No, I'm good, bud." And he goes, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, this is Hemingway's whiskey." He said it was good enough for him. It's good enough for you.
Yeah.
And so he immediately writes this down.
Yeah, that's.
So then he goes home and he starts working on it, and he gets with this other songwriter. And I apologize, I can't remember his name, but he goes, I gotta write this. So he starts on it, and they start looking at it. He goes, "Let me tell you about this idea." And he goes, "Stop right there." And he goes, "Oh man, this is not as good idea as I thought." And he goes, "No." He goes, "I'm gonna get Guy Clark to write that with us." And he goes, "Really? Guy Clark?" And Joe had never met him. And so he sets it up, and they go to Guy's house, and they go down his basement where he builds his guitars and where he does everything. And he goes, he says, "Well, play me what you got." And he plays it, and he says, "Stop right there." He says, "It's Hemingway's whiskey. If it was bad enough for him, it's bad enough for you." And that's where the line came from. So Guy Clark changed that. And then he told him, he says, "I want to work on the bridge." He says, myself. He said, "I want to kind of rewrite what we've done." He said, let me work on it for a couple of days. And so they called him back and said, and then Guy cut it, obviously. But you know who else cut it?
No.
Oh, Chesney cut it.
Oh,
and that
did
was
he really?
a huge hit for Chesney.
Interesting.
You know who else cut it?
No.
Christofferson cut it.
I had no idea.
If you take a song like Hemingway's Whiskey and have Guy Clark cut it, Kenny Chesney cut it, and Christofferson cut it,
that's in the history books.
That's one for the definitely.
And that's interesting, because I always thought Guy Clark wrote that, and he was the only one that cut it. But then again, I've never really listened to Kenny Chesney a whole lot. Yeah. I've listened to Christofferson, but never really done a deep dive into his stuff.
I have the standards of Christofferson, Me and Bobby McGee, Sunday Morning Coming Down, those are the kind of the Christofferson standards. Go-tos. But I didn't realize that he had cut it either.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that the only version of it that I really heard much of was Chesney's. And I've always liked Chesney, not a diehard Chesney fan, but I like Chesney. But I got to interview Buddy Cannon, who Buddy Cannon produced 16 of Chesney's albums.
Interesting.
And 20 of Willie's.
Wow.
And in fact, he's releasing his 20th produced record for Willie the end of this month, which is now. Because what's today? Yeah. Willie's birthday, he doesn't know, is it today or tomorrow? He really doesn't. He tells everybody, he says, "Well, I'm not sure if I was born on the 29th or the 30th. But so that's his birthday's this weekend.
Well, after that many years, I would probably forget too.
92.
Yeah,
and so we got to hear 2 cuts off this new album.
Oh, cool.
Unreleased, right?
Yeah.
In Buddy Cannon's office. And this entire album is all songs written by Rodney Crowell.
Oh, cool.
The whole album.
That's awesome.
So anyway, it's cool to get to hear these stories and to get to experience stuff that has not been released.
Yeah, and it's just cool because you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So when you get the inside scoop, it's pretty cool. And that's why I try to figure out who wrote songs. Like if I hear a song and I'm really into it, I'm like, I got to figure out who wrote that song.
I have to be careful because I quote people, right? And I say, but the interesting thing is I've gotten way better at doing that research and going, listen, I'm listening to a song. Who wrote that? Because Joe Leathers, who wrote Hemingway's Whiskey with Guy and the other guy I can't remember, he also wrote Save the Roses. I don't know if you've heard that Lee Brice song.
I don't think I have.
It's a great song. It's kind of a hard. It's about a guy that dies,
The
and
title
he
sounds familiar.
says, you know, save your money. Don't buy me roses. Go drink a beer and go sit in your deer stand. And it's really it's a great song, and it's very well written, and it really impacted me because we played it at my nephew's funeral.
Yeah.
And it really spoke volumes about my nephew. And so when you know, music, that's the other thing. Music, how music impacts us.
Oh yeah.
Personally.
And that's the hard thing about writing too is, you know, as a writer, when I go to write a song, it's because I've had a personal experience that I want to write about. But the trouble with that is you got to try to make it vague enough to where other people can relate to it.
Yeah.
And you got to try to not hit things so on the nose.
Well, and you got to make it relevant, right?
Yeah,
and so some music, and that's the other cool thing is that as we talk to some of these songwriters, it maybe wasn't relevant 30 years ago when they wrote it, but it becomes relevant today. James Dean Hicks told me a story about a friend of his who wrote a song 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And George Strait just cut it like a year ago. So
that's cool.
Can you imagine?
Oh, no.
One that sat, well, who's another songwriter I just interviewed? He said his first number one hit sat for 7 years.
That's insane.
7 years before anybody cut it, right?
Well, and I saw an interview a while back. It was John Mayer.
Okay,
and he was talking about, you know, and I struggle with this. If I start writing a song or I have an idea and I kind of start messing around with it and I'm like, well, I'd never cut that. I'd never sing that. I would stop writing it. And I saw John Mayer in an interview talking about, he's like, no, write it. And he's like, even if it's something you'd never play, because he's like, maybe your music taste just hasn't caught up to it yet, which I kind of agree with. But, you know, after writing, I've had a couple people approach me to write songs for them for their record. And I figured out that writing for somebody else's record is a whole lot easier than writing for your own, because you're not so critical.
Well, and then not only that, if they give you some structure in which to write it under, right? Or they go, hey, I got this title, but I don't know where to go with this, right? But it's interesting because you talk about write it if you're don't write it if you're never gonna sing it, right? But but a couple of songs that you never would have thought were ever going to get sang were written by Ray Wiley Hubbard. Yeah. Number one, Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother.
Yeah.
Which Jerry Jeff Walker made famous, right?
Fantastic song.
And two, Pissin' in the Wind.
Yeah.
And those are both, at least Pissin' in the Wind's a true story because Django shared that one with me about his dad and Ray Wiley when they were on their way to Dallas to go see Willie, and it was really blowing. They were going to fly. And they said it was too dangerous to fly, so they drove. Yeah. And they got a couple cases of beer and headed up the road. I said, back when it was safe to drink 2 cases of beer and drive.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know whether it was any safer, but they did it. So
and my outlook on that has definitely changed since then. After having a couple songs cut by other artists, and they haven't really had much success. But after that, it's like, okay, even if I don't like the idea, I'm still going to write it.
But you don't know whether those cuts, like who was it that told you that?
Who
told you to go ahead and write it anyway?
I just saw it in a John Mayer.
Oh, John Mayer, that's what it was. Yeah, but he's right because you don't know who's gonna grab it. Yeah. Rob Hatch wrote this song, and it ended up being his first number one. 7 years it sat there, and he said he got a call from. I'm trying to remember the artist that cut it, but anyway. He said he got a call from his manager and he goes, hey, at midnight. And he goes, hey, whatever happened on that song? And he goes, nothing. He goes, don't let anybody else do it. And he goes, listen, it's been there for 7 years. Yeah. We're okay till tomorrow. Don't panic. Anyway, but it's just interesting how those stories come.
Yeah.
And it was a number one. It wasn't just a cut. It
was a big song.
It was a big song. So anyway, I love those stories and love to hear the backstories. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, play us a song. Wait, you've been more than generous with your time. This is always fun to sit down and kind of hear everybody's different take on the music industry and kind of what they got going on. But play us a song, then we'll talk a little more.
Let's see.
Set this up. Well, kind of tell me what
I think I'll do. This is kind of a newer song. I've only been playing this one live for a couple of months, but I had most of the song and talked to Lyle Evans. I said, hey, I need help with this song. And he goes, it's done. We just got to arrange it. And so we did. Not quite sure what it's about yet. I think just about a little self-reflection getting older, you know.
Okay.
But, been calling it Reckless Soul. Hopefully I remember the whole thing. The more you learn, the less you know. The faster you run, the slower you go. The older you get, the harder you fall. What's a man supposed to do with the weight of it all? I seem to spend a dime for every nickel I earn. I should know better, but I never learn. I keep wasting my time like I'm going for broke, and laughing at the world like it's one big joke. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow may not come. Dancing with the devil again. I've been running too fast down this endless road with a heavy heart and a reckless soul. With every step forward, I take 2 steps back. Work my fingers to the bone, but the odds are stacked. The world wasn't built for the working man. I wear my heart on my sleeve with my calloused hands. I got a roof overhead and a woman at home. But some nights I feel all alone. I traded my youth for a pocket full of dreams. But every wiser choice ain't as good as it seems. And time ain't on my side. I'm just along for the ride. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow may not come. Dancing with the devil again. I've been running too fast down this endless road with a heavy heart and a reckless soul. Got a heavy heart and a reckless soul.
Awesome. That is a great self-reflection song, man. I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tough singing this early.
Yeah, well, I get that.
Usually I have the whole day to hack out all the shit I put in my lungs.
Yeah. I get it. The only time I get to sing those first thing in the morning, and my voice is really bad then. So
oh, yeah.
Flip that over on the back. See if you can find a blank spot and put your John Henry on there.
Ooh,
we have got some great
autographs
on that one. It's been fun. This is the 4th one we filled up on Teton Guitars autographs.
That thing's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love this thing.
Yeah, that is a beautiful guitar. It's got a great sound, and thank you, Teton Guitars.
Yeah, thanks, Teton.
Anyway, so where can they find your music?
Everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. It's everywhere.
Under what?
Just Corey JamesGrubb.
Corey JamesGrubb. Yeah. And next show coming up is going to be the famous Motel Cowboys reunion.
Yep. Yep.
And that's a 3-day deal, right?
Yeah, it's a 3-day weekend. In my opinion, I think in a lot of people's opinion, the best weekend of local country music you can possibly get.
Right.
It's $20 Friday, $20 Saturday, and Sunday's free.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you're not
how
going
do
to
you
get a
beat
better
40
weekend.
bucks,
Yeah.
right?
And for us, it's kind of our big family reunion because, all of us, we've all been in the scene and in the industry for a while together.
Yeah.
And, we don't get to see each other a lot.
Well, you get some great guitar players there. Rob Matson, who was a Nashville session guy for years in Nashville, just moved back a couple of years ago
Lyle's working on a solo record, and him and I just went and did some tracking for his solo record.
Yeah. And then
at Rob's house.
We just talked about him, produced Heath's new album. Gary Tackett.
Yeah.
Gary Tackett is such a talented
he's insane
guitar player, and such a great story. We got to interview him, so that's coming down the pike here one of these days. Soon, we hope.
Actually, he has a Michael Murray guitar too.
Does he?
Yeah, he saw mine and had Michael build him a guitar that has his name in the fretboard too.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
Gary, you stole my idea.
That's his acoustic guitar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did. We went over and saw him play at the Sapphire room. Before, actually, we did the interview before and then got to stay and watch the show. But he did a little acoustic set first of all original stuff.
Yeah.
And then he came out and played with the band, his electric. And then he invited blues player. Holy crap, what was his name? He said like top 10 blues albums.
Oh, is it Myron Dove?
No. And I screwed up, so I don't even want to say it.
But he plays with some legendary people.
Yeah.
Well, I got to give him a hard time because when I saw his guitar, I was like, man, that's a beautiful guitar, but I did the name in the fretboard, and now you did. And I'm like, we're going to have to swap guitars, and,
There you go.
It'd be funny. I show up with a Gary Tackett guitar. He goes up with a Corey Grubb guitar.
There you go.
It's pretty funny.
Well, cool. Well, Corey, this has been fun. Thank you for reaching out to me, and I'm glad we finally got together. And before we get out of here, we'll finish this up, and then I'm going to have you do a shout-out for the Valley Music Fest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, anything else you want to share with us before we get out of here?
No, man, I appreciate you having me on.
It's been fun. It's been great to get to know you, and we look forward to watching you play and getting around to some of your music, and maybe we can make it over next weekend too. So, Corey, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Hey, for Musical Miles Podcast, I'm your host, Byron Duffin, here with Mr. Corey JamesGrubb, and we will see you somewhere down the road. Adios for now.